Alrighty, everybody, welcome in and Happy New Year from your friends at the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. We are live here. You got Bryn hosting. We're back to our normal setup. We're back from the holiday special. We got a boy Dalton on the mic. We got Spoon in with us as well this week. Riley is unable to make it. He had some work conflicts going on, so unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make the show today. But we're here. We're ready to roll. We got a action-packed episode for you guys there. We got lots to go over, lots of playoff scenarios, lots of just overall season talking points. We're here. We've pretty much, people are sitting this week. We're almost to the end of the season. It's kind of crazy. I feel like it's really flown by. What do you guys, is it just me?
Yeah, it's gone by pretty quick in my eyes. A lot of scenarios shaping up that I did not expect to see, like Cleveland in the playoffs. Did not expect to see that at all. Lots of cool things happening right now, and a lot of stuff to look at for the week to come. So I'm excited to get in a little more in depth on this episode with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we're going to get underway. Every week on the show, we do our weeklies, which are an MVP from the previous week, a biggest loser from the previous week, a game of the week to watch out for the next week, and a pick'em where we all pick a team. We keep track of who's doing good, who's doing bad, all that kind of stuff. So with that, I will give us a start with our MVP and biggest losers this week. I am going to go with somebody that nobody has talked about this season, and I've given a lot of love to the Cleveland Browns on this show, and the guys can attest. But Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, who has said his name? This dude should
Nobody
be
has.
front
Nobody's
runner
mentioned him.
for Coach of the Year.
Everybody loves Mike McDaniels, Dan Campbell. Nobody's even bringing him up right now.
Right? And it's crazy to me that this guy who has this offense, we can all agree the Browns offense is not great. They lead the league in turnovers, and they are still 11th in scoring and 9th in yards with 4 different quarterbacks.
And they just put up 37 against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So that tells you anything.
They put up 33 on the Ravens earlier this season. Kevin Stefanski is taking what he has in Cleveland with a third string offensive line, your 4th quarterback of the year. I will give him 2 good running backs. Nothing special at tight end, in my opinion. And then a couple good receivers, and he is making this a top 10 offense. He is absolutely my MVP just all around. I just think he deserves a shout out. I have a lot more on Cleveland, but we'll get to that later. And then my biggest L, it's gotta be Carolina. Carolina is just 2-14 on the season. No first round pick this year. No second round pick in 2025. Bryce Young had 11 touchdowns to 20 turnovers so far this season. That is a 2-1 in the wrong direction. They're 30th in points allowed, which doesn't help, but they're 31st in points scored and 32nd in yards gained. That's really bad. So there's not a whole lot of, there's not a real bright spot in Carolina's future. And I just
their owner is just kind of going nuts and
throwing
fans in the stadium like that.
Hey man, if I was him, I would have probably done the same thing. I would have been that pissed off.
Yeah.
You're you're the only team to not score a point this week.
I saw David Hellman tweeted, he was like, "You're seeing the live frustration of a man who's richer than most government officials but can't do anything to save his football team."
Nope. It's painful.
Can't go back and draft CJ Stroud instead.
Nope. You fucked yourself on that one, bud. I will say I'm gonna give my pick'em. We'll go over games of the week at the end because there's 3 pretty good game of the week candidates.
I have mine already. Mine's locked in, loaded, ready to go. But I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my pick'em, and it's the one team I've been saving for the very end. Your Cleveland Browns. I'm picking Cleveland. Cleveland's gonna get the dub. That's my pick'em for the week. I will pass it off to either one of you. Who wants to go first?
Spoon, you go ahead and go.
All right, I'll go. So my MVP of the week. Oh, I'm gonna start with my biggest L of the week because that one was easy. My MVP of the week was the Jacksonville Jaguars defense.
Okay.
Going back to what you said, because I mean they gave up 0 points. They had a backup quarterback starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and their defense came in and did exactly what they needed to do.
Yep.
Allowed 0 points the whole game.
Hard,
made it a lot easier. Yeah. I'm just saying it made it a lot easier for them to have a backup quarterback in.
Yeah.
Super simple. My biggest L of the week was actually another defense. It was the Seattle Seahawks defense. That was my L. So the reason why Seattle put up enough points, they put up 23 points. That was enough to either tie or beat more than half of all the teams that played this week, but not the Steelers.
Yep.
You can't give up 30 points at home to a Steelers team that has their backup quarterback in right now. It just doesn't look good.
Mason Rudolph's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
It's still their backup quarterback.
Just kidding.
And if you're trying to make a playoff run right now, you need some help. Like right now, you're out of the playoffs because of that loss last week.
Yep.
Looks bad.
Looks real bad.
So that's my MVP and biggest L, Dalton. I'll pass it on to you.
Do you do your pick 'em?
I'll wait for Benner.
Okay.
On the pick.
I already did mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. My bad.
I did Believeland.
Yeah, I've been saving mine as well. And I was worried they were going to sit their starters this week. They're not, because they have something to play for, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
they're Washington Commanders. Not sitting this week. They've got to come out. They got to win this game. So, I mean, obviously, you want home playoff games.
Yeah,
that's
home
something
playoff
that
games.
is.
I have something to talk about with Dallas and home playoff games here in a little bit. We'll get to that more when the playoff stuff.
But that's something to fight for. So they're going to come out. They're going to beat the dog shit out of Washington.
Ooh, easy. Big talk. Dalt, who you got?
So my biggest L of the week is the MVP. Biggest MVP, Cardinals. Shout out the Cardinals, man.
Okay.
I was going to give it to Kyler Murray.
The Cardinals loss was a huge selling point when people were talking about the fact that Dallas were pretenders. And hold
on. I know where you're about to go with this. The Cowboys lost to Josh Dobbs Cardinals. They lost to the Kyler Murray Eagles.
Yeah, but to counteract that is that the Cowboys lost in Arizona. The Eagles lost to Arizona at home. So that's my counter to that. And Josh Dobbs was playing out of his fucking mind, which is why your dumbass Vikings picked him up for no reason.
Hey.
Mid-season.
Why are you shitting on my team? I didn't bring my team.
I'm just saying Dobbs fooled the Vikings just as much as he fooled the Cowboys. So I don't know why you're bringing up this argument.
Because Kyler Murray is 3 times the best version of Josh Dobbs. Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback at his peak.
Really, that's like just about.
But the Eagles still lost at home.
They did lose at home.
My MVP and L is all kind of
continue. I interrupted you. I apologize.
You're good. No, you're good. But my point is my MVP and L are all kind of tangled into one. You know, MVP, Cardinals, Cowboys, because the Cowboys still have a chance to have some home games, and then Eagles just proving that what Spoon said at the beginning of the season.
You can say what you want to say, Dalton. I know you want to say what they are.
Say what they are.
I know you want to say what they are.
I've been seeing it all over social media. I know you want
to say the F word.
They got Super Bowl hangover, man. You know, they just
say they're pretenders.
They're fake. And then my pick'em. I'm gonna do Dallas this week too. Would definitely love to see Dak just kind of go off against the Commanders defense, who really haven't been able to hold anybody to under like 25 points or something. Like their average on points allowed for this season is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect that. I do have some interesting notes later on that on the Dak thing, so we'll get to that later. But with that, you guys all good with that? We all good? We're gonna move on to game of the week.
Game of the week.
All right.
Can I start us off here?
You can start us off, buddy. I was gonna throw it to you.
All right. So this is very easy for me. There is one game that I want to watch. I will be watching. Win and you are in, and that is Texans Colts. Easy. There's no other game that is like this right now. This is literally a playoff game before the playoffs even start. I mean, it's like It's a play-in game, basically. Whoever
Yeah, it
wins,
is. It's
you're
a
in.
playing game.
Yeah, that's all it is. You win and you're in, no matter what. Texans, Colts, lock it in. I don't have a favorite right now. I hope Stroud's completely healthy, ready to go, and if he is,
I think Stroud will be healthy. It's hard the way Indy's defense has been playing not to give it to Houston with Stroud playing.
It's tough. I know. Like
I'm
I'm literally
Indy's here for a reason. They've been a good team. Oh, they've been
They have
continuously undervalued all year, and everybody be like, yeah, but they're not that good, and they've continued to win. So I agree that was one of mine. Dalton, do you have a game of the week?
Isn't the Bills-Dolphins game, isn't that...
Yep.
That's like a win and you're in kind of
No,
situation?
that's for the
Kind of.
AFC East.
Now the Bills can still lose and they
Yeah.
can still make the playoff. But
Yeah, they can also
Texans,
get
Colts, no
booted
matter
if
what,
they lose.
win and you're in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
But the
cool.
Buffalo-Miami game is for the division, and I should shout out Riley. Riley has been
That
saying
would have been
since
his game of the week. I know.
week 2, so when Josh Allen had stepped on it. He's been saying it for years since Josh Allen stepped on a football field that this fucking game was going to happen for the division, and I told him he was wrong. I think Miami wins that game. Shoot me. I just don't.
I agree.
I don't know, man. With the way Buffalo has been playing, I know that they didn't look that great last week. I mean, I picked the Patriots to cover the spread. They did.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Give me that money. But
That's my thing. Is it's a division game, and Josh Allen has always struggled in division games
yeah.
for the most part. Not always.
And
for the
Miami's
most
home.
part. Yeah, Miami's at home. I just see.
The Bills are favored -3, by the way. So
Yeah,
me and
I
you
saw
might
that.
be looking at that.
I'll
I
probably.
might
Odds
look
are
at
I'll
that.
have money on Miami.
That's what I was
heavy
going to say. I might go ahead and just take that money line because I know it's going to be plus money. But anyway, go ahead.
So I'm gonna throw out my game of the week, and I'm kind of surprised neither of you picked this because my game of the week is Dallas at Washington. So Dallas
Really?
is playing for the 2 seed, and they're
Right.
playing for a home playoff game, right? Dallas this season, Dallas Cowboys. So I have it right here. Where'd I write it down at? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. So Dallas Cowboys, they're the only division leader in the NFL to be sub 500 on the road. And there is only one second place team out of all of the divisions who is worse on the road than the Dallas Cowboys this season. This is huge for the Cowboys. The Cowboys could be potentially looking at a first round exit if they don't win this game. Now, Philly also has to win their game. So, like, you could lose, Philly could lose. You still get a home playoff game because Dallas is unstoppable at home. We've seen that. They don't lose. Undefeated at home this season. Was it 16 games straight?
Yep.
16 consecutive home wins. But they are not the same team on the road right now. I don't know
They're
what
not.
it is. And I don't know why, but they are not. Now,
That's- It's crazy too. Your game of the week is the game that has the biggest point spread this week. It has Dallas is favored more than any other team this week.
they are, but it's a road game for them, and they need to
But it's
show
the
up.
Commanders, dude. It's the
It's-
Commanders. I mean, I completely agree, 100%.
It's
If
cool.
we don't show up and we don't play a little bit, like we need to beat them by at least 20 to carry that momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah.
100%. I agree. But I mean, I
If
still
you guys
think
have a home
this is an
playoff
easy
game,
win.
that's huge for you.
Yeah.
Because then in the second round, you also get another home playoff game if you win. That's huge.
Washington has lost 7 in a row. That's so funny. They started the season
They're due.
2-0.
They're
They
due.
They were 2-0. They won their first 2 games. They beat Arizona, and then they beat Denver, and then the Bills absolutely destroyed them. And then
Hey, I'm not saying that
I mean, I will
Cowboys
say
are gonna lose this game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is, in my opinion. I mean, well, not my opinion. This is a must-win game for Dallas. If Dallas
Absolutely.
wins this game, they have a
especially if you have Dak in.
80% likelihood of making it to the NFC Championship game. If they lose this game, I would give them 10% chance to make it to the NFC Championship game.
because then more than likely we're gonna have to travel to.
Wait, you'd have to
Philly or
travel.
something.
You'd have to go on the road twice.
Yeah.
Unless there's a huge upset. So I just don't. I don't see a world in which this isn't a like. This is huge for the Dallas Cowboys this week. Massive game with huge implications. This is the difference between hosting the NFC Championship game potentially and being a wild card exit.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
And that's another thing too is that if we win this game and we do get the 2 seed, I mean, I see the Eagles winning their first game against the Bucs.
Yeah.
Or whoever comes out of the NFC South. And that means that the Eagles would play the 49ers the next week, and then the Cowboys would have an easier game. So, absolutely. Easier shot to go to the NFC Championship game if we win this one game.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
Yep. So, and I'm saying potentially host it. Like, San Francisco isn't playing. I mean, they've been playing good, but, like, they just got beat by Baltimore. They're not unstoppable. They could lose a game.
I mean, the Commanders put up a really good fight against the Niners last week as well.
Yeah.
I mean, at halftime, the Niners were only up 13-10.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, you're one bad 49ers game away from hosting the NFC Championship game, potentially having like a 75% chance of hosting an NFC Championship game versus a 10% chance of making it out of the first round.
49ers play the Rams next week.
What?
49ers play the Rams.
Has anybody seen if the 49ers are sitting their starters, by the way?
I would assume they are.
I would assume they are, yeah. Because they already have the first round bye clinched just like Baltimore does. So I would assume that they're going to sit.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at that 3 o'clock window. Holy shit, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
You mean this week, Dalton? Dalton, you mean this week?
Yeah.
That's what he's talking
about. You said next week. I was like, next week's the playoffs, dude.
Yeah, this 3 o'clock window.
Next.
No, Dalton's right though. This 3 o'clock window coming in. I mean, you got Bears versus
Cowboys.
Can we just go ahead and shoot over to the playoff picture real quick?
Yeah. I'm pulling up the playoff picture right now. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, because you got Cowboys, Commanders, and then Eagles.
Hold on. Chill.
Yeah, no. Yeah, hold on, Dalton. We're about to jump into it.
Loading.
Because I know that's one of our topics that we got to talk about is the playoffs.
I don't know why it's not loading.
But while Brenner's loading this, Dalton, I think we're gonna talk about the MVP race just for like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So who's your MVP pick?
Man, I really wanted it to be Dak Prescott, and that's who I had coming into the season. But I think you just got to give it to Lamar, man.
Yeah.
He's just been unreal, winning all these games with so many people that he has out, and he's just consistently he's somebody that you can rely on. I think you got to give it to Lamar.
Yep. I'm gonna just cut in here real quick. Yep, it's definitely Lamar. Lamar's gonna be sitting this week, so he has nothing to lose. It doesn't matter how good Tua plays. It doesn't matter how good Josh Allen plays. It doesn't matter how good Dak plays. I think Lamar's got it locked in.
Lamar Jackson will be the NFL MVP. I've been saying it for a month now. He's gonna be the NFL MVP. It's just this guy. Now here's a guy when he plays football. He plays football. It's Chris Collinsworth. I hate listening to Collinsworth, dude.
I know.
He says shit like this shit that like doesn't need to be said. Like when this guy runs the football, boy, he runs the football. And when this guy makes a pass, this guy makes a pass.
You see, the quarterback's job is to throw the ball to the receiver.
And it's just like we know that. Like somebody who doesn't watch football knows that. Educate the viewer. Educate the non-football viewer. Give me something with substance that will make me smarter.
Let's get on the
all right. Anyways, playoffs.
Playoffs. Are we tackling AFC first? Let's go to the AFC.
We can go AFC first.
I like it. So first of all,
we got the AFC standings.
Yep.
All right. So we obviously got the Cleveland Browns here locked in at the 5 seed.
Baltimore and Pittsburgh are in the same division, right?
Right.
So that game doesn't. Why does that game not have any implications? Just because they're.
It does have implications. The Steelers win.
100% does. Yes, the Steelers win. They have a good chance of making the playoffs.
Hold on. There's a specific scenario.
And there's an easy one.
This is a win and in. I think Buffalo has to lose, Indy has to lose, and then Pittsburgh gets in with Houston, right?
No, the easy one for Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh win, Buffalo loss. That's the easy one. If that happens, Pittsburgh's in.
Okay, that's what I couldn't remember if Indy had to also lose.
If Buffalo wins,
but if Pittsburgh wins and Jacksonville loses, they're also in.
Yes.
And then if Pittsburgh wins and I don't think Houston and Indy's going to end in a tie. But somehow that game ends in a tie and Pittsburgh wins and they're also in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now there's a lot more like extra scenarios, but those are the simplified ones.
Yeah.
If Miami takes the division, beats Buffalo, Pittsburgh beats Baltimore, which they should with Baltimore's starter sitting out.
Yeah.
Then Pittsburgh's in.
Yeah, no. I think in all likelihood, you're probably the 4 division winners are up there. Unless Jacksonville puts up an absolute stinker this week against a bad team in Tennessee, which I don't think will happen. I'm sure they lock in a spot. Cleveland, they're solidified. Buffalo's going to lose. Buffalo will lose to Miami. Just saying so? It now. And then Pittsburgh probably gets in because they'll be a seeded Baltimore team.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go over too, is that Buffalo, man, it's not really looking good for them right now.
I mean,
they absolutely have to beat Miami. They have to beat Miami. There's no other scenario because I do see Pittsburgh. I see them 100% beating Baltimore with Baltimore sitting all their starters. They should.
Who's all sitting? So like Beckham, Zay Flowers.
I would assume all of them.
I would assume all. I would assume the entire offensive line. Lamar, Gus Edwards.
I would assume Pittsburgh's going to be going against a completely second team.
Why would you start any of your starters in a game that means literally nothing for you?
Yep.
Nothing bad can happen from them losing. Nothing.
And the funny thing is about that game, that is the first game that will be played on Saturday. So we will know way ahead of time what the AFC is going to be looking like. Because if Pittsburgh wins that, then everybody's going to have their eyes on Buffalo Dolphins.
I guess it's just like a rivalry thing, man. You know, because like some coaches just kind of want to do that just to stick it to the other team.
John Harbaugh wants a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh wants a Super Bowl. He give a shit about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers right now. Yeah. He wants a Super Bowl. He wants his second ring.
He knows that if he plays Mike Tomlin in the playoffs, they're going to kick their ass.
And he knows. Like, think about this, Dalt. You play your starters, right? In a game that means nothing. You lose Lamar Jackson to an ACL tear.
Oof.
You would get fired the next day. Does not matter. You would be fired on the spot. Like you can't do that.
Okay. Good to know.
So we've gone over the AFC North. We've gone over the AFC East. I kind of want to tackle the AFC South right now. So that is another Saturday game, which is going to be awesome to watch. Saturday night, we have Texans-Colts. Like I said earlier, win and you're in. But Jacksonville, there's a lot riding on that game as well.
Yeah, because if Jacksonville loses, the win and you're in guy gets the division.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, here's my thing. Mike Vrabel is a former coach of the year, I believe. I believe he won it a couple years ago, if I remember correctly. That team is going to be coming in to play spoiler. They are going to know full well, listen, we can't win and get into the playoffs or anything of that nature. But you know what we can do? We can fucking punch these dudes in the mouth and cost them the playoffs. I mean,
that's what I was saying about Baltimore.
Yeah, Vrabel was coach of the year 2 years ago.
Baltimore has everything to lose. Tennessee has nothing to lose.
I mean, if you want to, they could lose a couple spots in the NFL draft if they win, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they're that worried about that.
No, they shouldn't be. They're going to get a high draft pick.
Yeah, regardless. High draft pick either way. I think that Mike will have that team ready to run through a brick wall and possibly fucking murder somebody. So
here's my question
for Jacksonville.
Is Trevor Lawrence playing or not?
Oh,
has anybody? Because he's still questionable right now, right?
I think he's still questionable. There's been it is Tuesday, January 2nd. Once again, Happy New Year. We haven't heard yet for sure on if he's playing or not. If Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, that is...
Yeah, that's going to be scary. I'm going to stay away wise, everything away from that game.
That will make... there's a lot going on there, and I
feel like Trevor Lawrence has to play it. He knows that he has to play it. Because this is a must-win game for them.
It's a must-win game.
Honestly, if they lose, they could be out of the playoffs, right?
Well, they would be out of the playoffs if Indy wins. If Indy wins and Pittsburgh wins, then
they're out, right?
Yeah, then they're out for sure.
So this is also, it's coming down to where it's a must-win for Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Let's move on over to the AFC side or the NFC side.
Yeah, let's move over to the NFC.
I mean, we spent a lot of time on the AFC.
The NFC is easy though. It's pretty much almost
here's
locked
the
in.
NFC standings. I would assume the only two that would change are the 2 and the 5 seed, maybe a 4 seed. I expect the Green Bay Packers to beat the Chicago Bears and lock in their playoff spot. I expect the LA Rams to be the sitting 49ers team. They've locked in their playoff spot. I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Giants. The big thing here is going to be Tampa Bay.
But they play Carolina, so I fully expect them. I expect them to come in and win that game.
Yeah, I couldn't have an easier matchup.
I got the Giants beating the Eagles next week or this week.
Of course you do.
I mean, they just lost to Kyler Murray his first game back.
That wasn't Kyler Murray's first game back.
That was his first game back?
No. He's been back for a few weeks now.
For like a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's been back for like a month. No, that Kyler Murray, that Cardinals team right now would beat this Giants team 28-14.
Yeah, I can see that.
Agree.
I fully expect this Philly team to be pissed off, realize, hey, we may have just cost ourselves the 2 seed. We need to get our shit together. And the same thing that goes for Dallas goes for them, because they need to blow out the Giants to carry over that momentum, because they may not have a home playoff game. So they need to be able to carry that momentum on the road. So I think Philly and Dallas are in the exact same situation right now.
Right now, I think the NFC is set up a little bit more simpler than the AFC is right now. Because personally, I think like San Francisco's sitting their starters.
Yep.
I fully see Seattle taking, or not Seattle. I see the Rams taking that game. They're in.
Well, they locked in a play. They're
already locked in already.
The only 2 teams here that aren't locked into a playoff spot are Tampa Bay and Green Bay, and
Seattle. They're not. They're in the hunt.
Technically, Minnesota, New Orleans, Seattle, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay all have a chance still. I expect Green Bay.
Minnesota does. It's like a crazy scenario.
If Green Bay, Seattle both lose, and either New Orleans or Tampa Bay lose, then the Vikings are in. I don't expect that to happen. I expect the Packers to beat the Bears.
Okay.
This is not. They're at Lambeau Field against the Bears.
I mean, the Bears put up some pretty good points last week.
They did, and I was talking to Riley about this earlier when he let me know he was going to be on the show. He was, bragging big on the Bears and how Justin Fields is here and this is who he is. That might have been Justin Fields' best game ever, and I'm not saying that that's great for Justin Fields. He had a 98 passer rating. That's Kirk Cousins' career average. So if that's his best game ever, and it's an average Kirk Cousins game, Kirk Cousins has been looked at as a top 10 to 15 quarterback his entire career. So, if his best game ever is a fringe top 10 guy, he has to perform peak every week to be kind of a top 10, top 15 guy. He's not the answer. So
I like Fields. I think they should stick with him. I think the Chicago fan base said what they needed to say last week by chanting Fields. So
tell me this, Spoon. Tell me this. If Caleb Williams is half what he's projected to be, he's projected to be Pat Mahomes. So if he's half of that, that is twice as good as Justin Fields is currently.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
I think you're looking at past years where Fields has struggled with throwing the deep ball and stuff like that.
No. What I'm looking at is the fact that he can't read a defense. That's what I look at. He
read the defense just fine last week against the Falcons.
You did not watch the tape then, because I watched that game back. I watched the tape, watched a couple breakdowns on it. He was doing 2 route reads all game. He didn't have to make choices. He didn't have to go to the line of scrimmage and audible. He didn't have to do anything. He walked up there knowing where he was going to throw the ball, and he threw the ball there.
I mean, if that's what it takes to beat the 12th best, top half defense in the NFL, then fuck it. You put up 37 points.
What you're saying is every week he has to be able. The game plan has to be perfect for him to win. That's what you just said, because that's what it was. The game plan was perfect, and he can execute it. Justin Fields can be a great game managing thrower and an X factor with his legs. That is an absolute career path for him. I'm not going to debate that at all.
You brought up Caleb Williams, and I'm not high on Caleb Williams at all. I think right now he looks severely overrated. I think he had one great year in college, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this guy is the coming of the next Tom Brady." That's coming to the league.
The reason
I still think he's overrated.
The reason people freak out about Caleb Williams is because consistently, weekly basis, 5-6 times a game, he will be running or being tackled and or something else where he is in a weird position, just weird stuff happening to him, and he will take his wrist and go like that and dot a throw 45 yards downfield on the money. He does it all the time. And so having that potential to be able to have that kind of arm strength and accuracy is what teams love. Now, I will say, if he starts in the NFL tomorrow, he's going to be in the exact same position Justin Fields is in right now in year 3. He doesn't know how to read an NFL defense, so he needs a great coach to help coach him up. But that's my point to Caleb Williams is he has way more potential without being able to read a defense than Justin Fields. So worst case scenario, you have the same thing you have now in Justin Fields with a better arm. Like, it's a win-win. There's no downside.
You take him if you're Carolina has the first pick, right?
Nope, they traded it to the Bears last year. The Bears had the number 1 overall
Bears
pick.
have the pick.
You got to take you can't think about this. If you have the number 1 overall pick and you trade it away,
the Bears, who do you take?
You take Caleb Williams. You trade Justin Fields for a second or a third.
What you do is you trade your pick away to somebody that actually wants Caleb Williams because the Bears don't need them. They don't need him at all. They will be just fine with Justin Fields. I think you trade that away, get a huge package deal.
Then why haven't they been fine with
off.
Justin Fields so far? Why are they where they're at now? If Justin Fields can do just fine, why is he not doing just fine then? Why is he not?
He missed half
winning?
the season. He's been injured. That's why they're 7-9 right now. They literally just got eliminated from the playoffs last week, and they won. It is because Justin Fields missed. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
You put Chicago in, you put Justin Fields in every single game this year. They're in the playoffs, buddy. I'm sorry, I predicted them to be in the playoffs. They're 7-9 without him right now. For what, how many did he miss?
And whenever he went out,
he came back and they fucking went on a streak. They streaked with him. Yes, they did.
They streaked before. Go back and look at the record. They streaked before he came back. Whenever he was out, the coaching staff literally told him. So this is via Riley, the Bears fan, who, does pretty much everything Bears. He told us that the Bears staff had Fields watch the backup quarterback's film to become a better quarterback. They literally had him watch his backup and be like, see what he does? You need to do more of that.
Well, the Bears haven't gone on any streak this year. They've only won 2 in a row twice. Other than that, the longest streak they've gone on was that they lost their first 4 games.
Yeah. He meant streaking like they were doing good.
I think they're doing a lot better.
They still, like you said, though, they still are 7-9. And if you put Justin Fields in all of the games, they very well could have had different endings.
I mean, they could have. I don't think they do. I think Badgett, when he was in, played better than Justin Fields has played this season. And most Bears fans
I don't think it has
with
anything to do with Justin Fields, though. I think it has 100% to do with the coaching.
I wouldn't disagree with that. The coaching there at times has been atrocious.
It's bad.
Yeah. And like I've said, Justin Fields can absolutely be a terrific game manager with his arm and be an X factor with his legs. I think that's a totally realistic possibility and that they could succeed with Justin Fields. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you take the game manager with good legs over the generational prospect, and the generational prospect turns out to be a generational guy, that is the ultimate buffoonery in the NFL. Look at it's the perfect example. Mitch Trubisky.
Caleb Williams is going to be in the same boat because he can't read a defense just like Justin Fields can't read a
Patrick
defense.
Mahomes. So this is this. That
so
was
what
Patrick
is
Mahomes'
putting
biggest
Caleb
thing.
Williams in the same position that Justin Fields is going to do?
So Caleb Williams, better arm strength, better arm accuracy, just as mobile.
Yeah, but they're playing. It's college guys, man.
I'm saying compared to Justin Fields as a person, not against their competition. He can scramble just as well. He has better arm accuracy. So independent of who he's playing, he puts the ball where it needs to be better than Justin Fields has ever done at any point in his life. And Caleb Williams tomorrow, if he's in the NFL, will have the biggest arm. He will beat out Josh Allen in a throwing contest. He will beat out Patrick Mahomes in a throwing contest. No question. So my point to that is, All three of those are better than what Fields is. Okay, all three of them. So if he steps into that role tomorrow, worst case scenario, you have Justin Fields with better accuracy, better arm strength, and equal mobility. So you're just upgrading. Even if Caleb Williams is a bust, you're upgrading over Fields, is my point. Like there's no upside. The upside to keeping Fields is if Caleb Williams breaks his neck next season and can never play a down of football. That's the upside to keeping Fields. The downside?
No, I think the upside is you keep a guy who stays on a team, you keep everybody familiar, and you just keep your team together, and you coach a guy who is malleable and who can play good football. He just needs.
He's not malleable anymore. Quarterbacks don't just other than Geno Smith for one season. Quarterbacks don't just flip who they are.
That completely changed his game up from playing how he was playing last year.
But Dak over his career is a pretty consistent guy.
Yeah, but they completely changed the style of offense that they do.
And the teams do that. Kirk Cousins changed the offense every year until last year. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying quarterbacks are who they are. They're either good or they're not good.
No, not true. Justin Fields is a good quarterback.
Is he?
Yeah.
How do you define a good quarterback?
A quarterback who can win games. That's really it. I mean, a quarterback who can win games. I don't think he's a terrible quarterback. I think
he's not.
Saying,
So let's.
He plays full
season, that can be a field.
If he plays a full season,
he cannot be a field general. He cannot be a. He can't read a defense. To be a field general, you have to be able to read a defense.
If he plays a full season and has a better coach to help him, then.
But hold on. That right there. Okay, that right there. I agree with that. The better coach thing. A field general doesn't need a great coach. They walk in and they are the best player on the team.
I disagree. I think that if you put Patrick
I think Brock Purdy's nowhere near the best player on the
Brock Purdy's a game manager. He's not a field general. He's a game manager. Lamar Jackson, field general. Josh Allen, field general. Tua Tagovailoa, game manager. Patrick Mahomes, field general. Justin Fields, game manager.
Yeah, but he's still good.
Well, I mean, it's working for the Niners. Why can't it work for the Bears too?
Manager. And going 500 isn't working. That's not. Nobody wants to go 500. Nobody wants that. That's not working.
I'm just saying. I think that if he doesn't get injured during the season, he plays all the games. I think Chicago, instead of being 7-9, they're 9-7 right now, and they're playing this week to be in the playoff. The Bears-Packers game would probably be for winning you're in right now. That's my opinion.
Except for the fact that the Vikings would be in the 1 seed.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even have a shot to get in because Detroit would be in a wild card spot with Philadelphia, and the Rams would be the 7 seed. So they wouldn't even have a shot. That's not reality. That's not how it works. The fact is Justin Fields missed those games.
Brenner does mock up playoff drafts. What if Kirk Cousins didn't get injured?
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, week 6, if Fields doesn't get injured, the Bears beat the Vikings.
But they didn't.
They didn't. But if Fields doesn't get injured, that's a game for them. And Vikings
anyway, let's move on.
If Dak Prescott doesn't stay healthy when you play the Eagles beat you.
Let's move on.
See how dumb that sounds?
The Cooper Rush fucking came in and beat the Eagles last year. What do you mean? It doesn't matter. We've won with our backup quarterback.
But you don't this year. See how dumb that sounds? It's a ridiculous
I don't know
argument
what you're saying.
Cooper Rush lost to the Eagles last year. We beat Gardner Minshew.
You're right. Yeah, we did.
My point is that it doesn't matter talking about hypotheticals because this is where we're at.
But Dak's been. I'm not saying that Dak's gotten injured or anything. This is all on Fields getting injured. That's what the whole argument's about. I'm saying that Fields doesn't get injured, they probably beat the Vikings, and that was what you were saying. I'm saying that if Fields doesn't get injured, the Bears-Packers game is now a win and you're in type of game.
Yeah,
instead
but
of the Bears are out.
But my point is that doesn't matter because they lost.
Okay. So you're saying what if? Your what if was the Vikings would be in if the injuries didn't happen. I don't think so. I think the Vikings would still be on the edge right now looking in.
He was saying that to your point because your
point is, hey, if this happens, then this happens. It's the same thing as me saying, well, if this happens, then this happens.
Okay, but we're talking about Fields. We're not talking about the fucking Vikings, Brenner. This is all about Fields. This is the whole argument. What the fuck are you saying?
I am saying that you said if
Yes.
Fields doesn't get injured, this is a win and in.
Yes,
right?
This is a win and in game,
Right?
correct. So where do the Vikings come in?
But is it a win and in game? Is it a win and in
It's
game?
not. It's not.
So that's irrelevant then.
Okay, so where did the fuck did the Vikings come in?
You brought
this
the
is all
Vikings into
very-
it. I brought
get
the
it.
Cowboys into
You
it.
said the Vikings would be they would be fighting for a playoff spot too, and I'm like, no, they. where the fuck
Because
is
we were
that coming
talking
in?
hypothetical situations.
Okay.
If Kirk Cousins doesn't get injured, hypothetically the Vikings are in play for the 1 seed right now.
I would say they're probably
Let's
in the
go
same
back and look
boat.
at their schedule.
They're probably looking at in the same boat where it's like, oh, it's probably like a win in your in game.
What are
against the
you
Lions.
talking about, Cooner?
Is it not another win in your in game if Kirk doesn't get injured?
If Kirk doesn't get injured, we're at least 10 wins.
I think the Lions still take the
Potentially
division.
12 wins. The Lions barely beat us with Nick Mullins throwing 4 interceptions. There's no
if Kirk
fucking
Cousins doesn't get
chance
injured, they
the
are
fucking
a 10,
Kirk Cousins
10 win,
gets
11 win
beat
team.
by the
I
Lions
still
in that
think the
game.
Lions take the division.
Dude, then fine. This week would be a for the division game with the loser getting a wild card spot at
I
worst.
don't think so. I think if Kirk Cousins doesn't get injured, then
Well, I do. I do too. I'm saying at worst it would be a for the division game in Detroit.
Kirk
I can
Cousins
see
was
that.
absolutely going off, man.
Kirk Cousins led the league in touchdowns and was second in yards when he got hurt. He was absolutely fucking balling.
Yeah, and he kept it that way for a couple weeks too.
When he got injured, that's where he was at. He was leading the NFL in touchdowns. And
But my point, it
second in
took
yards.
a couple weeks
But he
for
was
anybody to catch
still
up to him.
losing games.
Yeah,
He was
because
still
the Vikings
losing
were
games.
turning the ball over 4 times a game at that point. That wasn't.
So,
a first down.
it didn't matter. So Nick Mullins throwing 4 interceptions in a game doesn't matter. The Vikings were already turning the ball over every game. So what
Nick
the fuck
Mullins
does it
threw
matter?
4 interceptions directly
And
in
Kirk
his hands.
Cousins literally was fumbling the ball like twice a game and
No, he
throwing a
wasn't.
pick as
No, he
well.
was. Now you're just making up bullshit.
Okay.
That's not true. You know
All right.
that's not true. Kirk
Okay.
Cousins was throwing.
I
tipped
remember at the beginning
interceptions.
of the year there was 4 fucking turnovers in a game.
Yeah, there was.
Then
And
Kirk
3 of
played
them
it.
were fumbled. No, they were not, dude. There were
Yes,
2
they
tipped
were.
It was the Chargers game. There were 2 tipped interceptions, a fumble on a punt return, and another tipped interception off T.J. Hawkins' hands in the end zone.
So he threw 3 interceptions. That's
No,
what
he
you're
threw
saying,
3
right?
tipped interceptions, and you
But
know
they're
that's different.
interceptions.
They are. They are.
Okay.
They are interceptions, but they're not
Okay.
Kirk Cousins.
So they were
fault.
still turning the ball over with Kirk Cousins in.
Yes,
Okay, that's all. That's all. I was
but Kirk
wondering.
Cousins wasn't gonna fucking
They
throw the
still
ball
turned the ball over,
directly.
though.
Bro, if you're trying to tell, so Kirk
They
Cousins
still turned
is
the ball.
equal.
It doesn't matter. Everybody always made fun of Dak for the fucking tipped interceptions too. He
That-
did the same
no.
shit.
No,
Yes,
I
they
can-
did.
okay.
Yeah, they
yes,
did,
they
yeah.
did.
I
Everybody
can
always
pull
made
up
fun
the
of Dak for
stats on
all
that
the
one.
fucking tipped. Dude, I would
We'll have
watch Dak
stats
throw
for
2 or
next
3
week. We'll have
fucking
stats
tipped
next week.
interceptions every week. And everybody
We'll
was
have
like, "Oh,
stats
this is
next
on
week.
Dak."
Like,
Everybody was always
yeah.
fucking making fun of Dak for it. So yes,
And now,
I'm
now
gonna
the goal
call
most
Kirk
to move
Cousins
this
out
year, and people are saying interceptions don't matter.
they
Nobody's even
do
talking
matter.
about interceptions anymore.
I've been saying this for years though. Tipped interceptions need to get that needs to be a stat.
Yeah.
That needs to be a
for it.
stat.
I'll
Tipped
stop here and
interceptions.
I'll agree with you. But I'm just saying it's been called on us in the past. I'm going to call it on
Right.
every game.
Get back to the
So you
playoffs.
agree with it then? So you
I
agree that
agree
Dak was garbage?
I
then?
agree that tipped interceptions are shit, but hey, it still counts as an interception. You're still turning the ball over. I
Okay,
was
but
always
hold
made
on.
fun of for
I want to
calling
have
that
I want
shit
to have
out.
a philosophical thing here. If
Okay.
you're calling it on other people, then you agree with the people who were calling it on Dak and saying it was Dak's fault. If you're going to call it on
It
other
was
people,
bullshit, and I'm doing the same thing. It's
So you
100%
agree-
bullshit.
you
but
agree
I'm
with
still
those
gonna say that
people?
it was bullshit.
but so you see, you can't say it's bullshit and then but you have to hold it accountable. to it. You either agree that it's
100%.
bullshit. No, you either agree that it's
Yes.
bullshit, or you agree that it's the right call and that it was Dak's fault they were getting intercepted.
I don't think it was Dak's fault. I don't
So
think it was
you
Kirk's
agree-
fault. But he still
so you
turned
ag-
the ball over, and that's exactly what everybody was making fun of for Dak. So I'm gonna say, yeah, Kirk Cousins was turning the ball over. It's the same thing.
Okay, but you just admitted that it's bullshit that people said that, and then you're like, but I'm going to say that too.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Dalton, are you
I'm
hearing
going
what I'm
to
hearing
call-
right
I
now?
I'm
am.
going to call
Yeah,
it
we should
out.
move on. We should move on.
Okay, we'll move on. We're gonna move on to rapid fire stuff. The top 10 didn't get made this week. Some of the guys didn't send in stuff, so we'll have a final season-ending top 10 next week when we look at the playoff picture. And I'll have it up on the Instagram tomorrow, Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Thank you for listening to our TED Talk a second ago. We're going to rapid fire questions. So, first rapid fire. Where does Dalvin Cook land, Dalton?
One more time.
Dalvin
Where does Dalvin Cook land? They released him to be with a playoff contender.
What's his contract looking like? Do we know?
It's absorbable by most teams.
Well,
he's a free agent, so there is no contract. He would be signed to a new contract. Sorry.
Hang on, give me 1 second. I have to hang on. Talk to Spoon.
Okay, Spoon. I'm looking at Baltimore.
You think
I'm looking at Baltimore, dude.
Well, I'm looking at teams that could really use Dalvin Cook, and
But,
one
like,
of them
even
that
Gus Edwards
there's a
is
couple
their
that
best
come to
back.
mind. I know. Yeah, I mean, the Baltimore could use a running back every year, but they never go out and get one, ever.
Yeah.
Every single year, it's always these
they try to draft
Gus
guys and then they get hurt.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm looking at teams that could use a running back. Like realistically, the Chargers could use a bigger running back.
Yeah.
Over Austin Eckler.
No. They released him to go to a playoff contender.
Ooh.
So he's going to sign with a playoff.
See, I didn't see the fucking article.
I'm thinking either Baltimore or Buffalo, dude. Play with his brother in Buffalo.
They already have a Cook. They don't need another Cook.
Yeah, but like, how cool would that be to get to play on the same team as your brother, at the same position? Like that would be so. Like I think that's got to be a draw, right?
I think if Tampa Bay wins, you go to Tampa.
Nah, dude, Rashad White's got that job unlocked.
You think he's got it unlocked? You don't think Dalvin Cook could come in and like make an argument and take some carries away from him?
Rashad White has like a 90% snap share. He's their workhorse. They're gonna stick with him. I don't think they're gonna try to fix what ain't broken there. Like dance with the girl who brung ya. Like Rashad White's got that unlocked. He's earned that job. I really think it's Baltimore or Buffalo.
Buffalo? Why would Buffalo need? You talking about Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, James Cook is on the team. So how cool would that be to go play with your brother in the playoffs?
Yeah, but James Cook's already doing pretty good for them.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying they need him. I'm not saying they need him. I'm saying draw for Dalvin to want to go somewhere.
Well, that's what
Dalvin want to go.
I want Dallas to pick up Dalvin Cook.
I wish. That's what I was.
You guys have red zone issues. You don't want Dalvin. You have red zone issues. Totally separate. Dalvin's not going to do you any good in the red zone, man.
But he's a bigger back than Pollard.
No, he's not. He's 5'10", 215 pounds. He's not. Dalvin Cook's a LaShawn McCoy type. He's a Jamal Charles type. He's a straight line, and then one quick move type of thing and get the speed going. He's not a downhill workhorse. I mean, for years, he thrives in the zone run scheme, not power. He does not do power running. Zone run, out of shotgun, handoffs, hitting soft zones. That's what he does best. That's why I think that Buffalo would be such a good fit because his brother's the same way. Like, the scheme fits him. Baltimore, the scheme fits him. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. But next question is...
Oh, never mind. I was going to say...
Okay,
I was going to say, do you think the Browns make a case for him? I mean, if...
Kevin Stefanski was with Dalvin Cook for years in Minnesota as the OC and quarterback coach.
I mean, that makes sense.
That could be a thing.
You put somebody back there with Ford. I mean, I could see that going on.
Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, Dalvin Cook trio? That'd be deadly.
That would, yeah. You would...
Fuck it, run the triple option.
Flacco would never...
Dude, fuck it. Put Dalvin at quarterback and run the triple option with Ford as the halfback and Kareem Hunt as the fullback. Fuck it.
I'm here for it.
So with that, we're going to go to, did you guys have a favorite regular season moment? Just a quick snippet. Like, what was your favorite moment from this season?
Dalton, you have one?
I don't, man. There's too many to pick from. There's a lot of shit moments. Great season all around. There's really no one thing that
mine was the Vikings beating the 49ers.
That's a good one. I would say Jake Ferguson. Just Jake Ferguson and if I could pick like my favorite like players, I want to say Jake Ferguson and Brandon Aubrey this year were just like two players that I have grown to really love. Watch them touch football. Now every time I'm excited when we kick field goals now, just to see like if Brandon Aubrey is going to extend that record.
Yeah, that streak.
I think one of my favorite things is the fact that the Texans became a team that, I mean, at the beginning of the season, they were a team that I did not think would do very good this year at all, whatsoever. And I think it's been really fun watching CJ Stroud lead this Texas team this year. Like, it's exciting to watch. It's now Houston, like living in Texas right now, Houston has become must-watch football. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm just saying Houston's become... Yeah, you want to watch them play.
That perfectly leads me into the next question, because the next question is brighter future, Houston or Jacksonville? Houstonville.
I want to say Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, Spoon?
You want to, but I see a brighter future in Houston.
All right, that one worders. We're doing one worders for that one. All right. So I would like to give, this isn't really a question, just kind of an underrated shout out real quick. Shout out to Adam Thielen, Carolina. He had a successful 1,000-yard season. 32 years old, cut by the Vikings because he wasn't really doing much, and he went out and put up 1,000 yards with Bryce Young as his quarterback. So shout out to you. And then who do you guys think is the best overall wild card team?
Who are all the wild card teams?
So currently you have Philadelphia, LA, Rams, and Green Bay, and then you have Cleveland, Indy, and Buffalo.
Who do you got, Spoon?
The best wild card team?
Yep.
I would probably say the Bills.
Bills, okay.
I want to say Cleveland.
Cleveland?
No, I'm taking mine back. I'm actually going to say I'm going to go with Brenner. I know what he's going to say. I'm going to go with the Browns.
Yeah,
I know.
So I'm going to take that off the screen now. We're going to go back to three-way. So I definitely would say AFC is the Browns, NFC is the Rams.
Yeah.
You have the Rams over the Eagles
Rams are streaking right now hard. All right. So, Spoon, this one's for you.
You have the Rams over the Eagles right now?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll take him.
Okay, cool.
So, Spoon, this one's for you. Where does Bill Belichick land next season?
I think he stays with the Pats. I don't think they move on.
Ooh, controversial. I like it.
I think it's a good take. I would have him going to the Panthers.
Yeah, I was going to say, realistically, he needs to go to the Panthers. They need somebody to fucking turn that team around.
Yeah, bad. All right, so Panthers actually have the third defense in total yards this season. Kind of crazy fact. They're like 31st in total points, though. It's crazy. So who was the bigger whiff for that team this year, Dalvin Cook or Derek Carr?
I'm going to say Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I was going to agree with Cook.
Okay.
I think Carr's been playing just fine. He makes a few mistakes, but he's been more reliable, playing a lot more than Cook has. So
I expected Derek Carr to come in here and play at a Pro Bowl level and carry a Saints team that has a lot of talent, and they had the easiest schedule in the league this year by strength of schedule. They should be a 10-win team.
I think Derek Carr has cemented himself as a solid A+ backup quarterback. That is all he should be to anybody.
Agreed. So with that, what was the biggest shocker for you this year? Any big like shockers? Just anything you guys never would have saw coming? Nothing? I mean, mine's Cleveland.
I mean, mine's the Colts. I did not see them. Okay. I did not see them on the verge of being in a playoff. They're not in the playoffs, but they're on
the verge of it.
Yeah, they're on the verge of it. They just got to win, and they're in. That's it.
Yeah. I would agree with that, especially since they
got
their starting quarterback injured. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's over," Yeah.
It's
so funny with how many teams that's happened with this year too, though.
I mean,
that was what I was going to say as well with the Browns. I mean, the fact that they've had 4 different starting quarterbacks this year, and they're still sitting at 11-5, that's kind of a shocker.
Crazy to me. I would have told you at the beginning of the season, the Browns with Deshaun Watson weren't going to win 9 games, and they've had 4 different starting quarterbacks. That's crazy to me. So next up is, does this kind of shock you guys? This season, unless Dak Prescott goes out and has a 5-touchdown game or a 4-touchdown game, the NFL leading passer in touchdowns will finish sub 35 or lower for only the second time since 2009. Russell Wilson in 2017 is the only other guy to finish under 35 touchdown passes since 2009, and it was Drew Brees. I just found that kind of shocking that the NFL's not that many defenses are adjusting this year. Just kind of a crazy little tidbit for you guys.
You're talking about passing touchdowns?
Yeah, passing touchdowns.
I mean, I think it's just the fact that a lot of teams are starting to run the ball a whole lot more, and they're finding a lot of success in the run game.
Yeah.
For instance, take the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they're just putting 2 guys that
A 31-year-old Raheem Mostert and a 24-year-old guy with fucking speed out the ass.
And look at one of the top passing quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Jared Goff, sitting at third in passing yards. What does that team do? They run Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Thunder and Lightning.
Yep, and then you have Brock Purdy, who's sitting at. So there's the top 3 passing quarterbacks right there. All three of them,
great run games.
Great run games.
Yep.
So I think that teams are starting to lean more on the run, and then the closest one, like you said, is Dak Prescott. We don't really lean on the run that much, but
they threaten the run.
Yeah,
they threaten the run a lot.
We do.
That's what Sean McVay does. He threatens the run. That's why his quarterback succeeds so much, is because they threaten the run. They don't always run, but they threaten it. So
yeah, it's just all these top tier quarterbacks when it comes to passing yards. They all have a great run game, and I think that's
all right.
With it. Yeah.
Who do you guys think has the best point differential in the NFL? What team has the best point differential in the NFL? So, net points. If you had to guess.
Ravens.
I mean, the easy one would be the Ravens, but I think you're trying to trick us here.
Final answers?
Ravens.
I'll go with the Niners.
It is, in fact, the Ravens.
Okay.
Dalton got it. The Ravens, they finished with, or they're currently at with all their starters. I say finished. This week doesn't really count, in my opinion. For them, anyways. It counts for a lot of other teams. But they've plus 210. They scored over 10 points a game more than their opponent on average. That is really good for a team that at the beginning of the season, I don't think we really gave them their due. I kind of feel like we had Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and then the Ravens. I mean, look at what Lamar did coming off a season where the Ravens told Lamar, hey, go talk to all the other NFL teams and see what they'll give you, and then come back to us and we'll negotiate. And every other NFL team said, we're good. We're good on that. No, thank you. And here he is.
So the Niners were number 2. So
yeah. Niners were number 2. Cowboys were number 3.
I was gonna pick the Ravens, but I was like, I feel like this is a trick question. But
I knew you would.
It wasn't.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping you'd both think it was a trick question and go a different route. Only got one of you. Only got one of you.
Jerk the Ravens off again.
So last question here, I got for you. Best last place team going into the future. Okay. So the teams to choose from in the NFC are Arizona, Carolina, Chicago, and Washington. Who would you pick from those 4 to start?
Chicago.
Arizona.
Arizona, okay. So the teams in the AFC, the Chargers, the Titans, the Bengals, and New England. I feel like this one's kind of easy.
Bengals.
Yeah, it's got to be the Bengals.
And then I feel like we would all take the Bengals as the number 1 overall team that has the brightest future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would also say that if it came to disappointments this year, because you talked about like our biggest surprises and whatnot, biggest disappointment would probably be the Bengals.
Yeah, me and you both had them winning the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow as MVP. We both were like, "Yep, this is Joey B's season. He's gonna go big."
Had him as our MVP favorite.
Yep, he was hurt at the beginning of the season, played like shit when he was hurt, and then finally got a little momentum going, and then season ender. So. Yeah, poor Joey B. That's rough. Maybe he'll come back next year. Maybe he'll be in the MVP race next year. We don't really know. But for now, we're going to move on to next week. We will have a very special playoff preview episode. We won't really touch a whole lot on what happened the previous week. From here on out, it's going to be what's coming up next. What's going on next week? What are we going to do next week? Who's going to win what? So we're going to go from there. Unless you guys have anything else this week. Anything you want to say before we wrap up the regular season shows?
Very, very sad that this is ending. Also, I mean, excited for next season, and also we hadn't talked about it much, but possibly doing some like additional content with us with the Madden games, calling of the Madden games possibly. So if anybody is interested,
we will have. Dalton's touching on it. We will have plenty of off-season content coming up whenever the Super Bowl ends. We will not stop. We will go weekly. We will try to get as much content as we can. We will try to keep you guys into it. There's going to be tons of talk about draft, free agency. We're gonna have good content for you guys all year round.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up as well. I was gonna say, hey, we might have maybe a surprise, possibly a second show, maybe
Maybe,
on the horizon, possibly.
We're thinking about it.
But we don't know. Just stay tuned and
keep watching. We love you guys. Make sure to comment, subscribe, pass the word around, throw our name around, fucking throw it at the local sports bar, hit us up via email, whatever you want to do. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.